guys, what's going on? It's MassiveJoes RAW review, and I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Awesome raw review for the viewers at home today on one of the most highly anticipated new powdered form fat burners on the market from our good friends at BSN. It is, of course, Hyper Shred in the house. Let's get straight into it, show you guys exactly what's in it, tell you exactly what it's gonna do. That nutritional information panel ain't gonna get it done. We're about to go balls deep in this BSN Hyper Shred. I'm feeling a good raw review today, viewers at home. Fortunately, we got ourselves a big ass nutritional information panel for the viewers at home. Dilip, go ahead and cut up that panel so the viewers can play along at home. Now, BSN have actually done something here, viewers, that they have never done before for us, and that is provided full disclosure across every single ingredient and the amount of every single ingredient in this BSN Hyper Shred. So they've gone full disclosure on their nutritional panel, which really we've never seen them do before. They'll go like, 90% full disclosure and then have like a proprietary compound of some sort, but they've gone absolute all out full disclosure. So we can do a quick summation on this nutritional panel and figure out how many grams of active. So we're dealing with 7.5 grams per scoop in a 1 scoop serve, and you got yourself about 30 of them 7.5 gram bitches in one of these 30 serve bitches, and you got yourself about 60 of them 1 scoop 7.5 gram bitches in one of these 60 serve BSN Hyper Shred bitches. In terms of what the 7.5 grams is made up of, if we now do that quick summation, add up all of the active ingredients, we quickly discover there's 3.01 grams of actives in each and every scoop in a 7.5 gram scoop. So we're dealing with 40% active ingredients and then 60% non-active ingredients that is going to include flavors, sweeteners, colors, thickness, stabilizers, and all of that sort of stuff. Now, it's pretty high in terms of non-active ingredients, in terms of flavors, in terms of colors, and non-actives, generally speaking. It is quite high, and we do need to kind of point that out. But BSN do generally do this with most of their supplements because they do spend a lot of time with the flavoring systems, with the texture of their supplements and the mouthfeel of their supplements, and making sure the supplements mix well. And there's a lot of kind of non-active bits and pieces that BSN generally do across all of their supplements to kind of give the consumer a really good experience when taking the supplements. So even though the 60% is quite high and we're only getting 40% active ingredients, the 60% of non-actives still are part of the entire experience of taking this Hyper Shred. And we'll get to that a little bit later on in the raw review. The one thing that I do want to point out right from the top, nutritional panel backup, is there is 4 grams of carbs in each and every scoop, in each and every 7.5 gram scoop. So you do need to incorporate the 4 grams of carbs. Keep in mind that they're complex carbs, they're not sugars. 4 grams of complex carbs into your diet. Obviously, if you're taking Hyper Shred, you're going to be wanting to lose body fat, so you're going to be wanting to be in a caloric deficit. So you do need to take account of that as part of your daily carbohydrate intake. Now we can go balls deep. Starting from the top, first ingredient in this BSN Hyper Shred is, of course, acetyl L-Carnitine in the hydrochloride version, 1.5 grams. This is, of course, L-Carnitine with an acetyl group attached to increase the bioavailability of L-Carnitine. L-Carnitine, for viewers at home who are unaware, is a fat transporter. It is the single amino acid that is responsible for transporting fat from fat cells into the mitochondria of muscle cells, where that fat can be used as fuel or as a source of energy. The acetyl group that's attached to the L-Carnitine also crosses the blood-brain barrier, where it helps assist with mental focus, which is quite good when you're in caloric deficit and you're probably having a little bit of trouble with mental focus upstairs, if you know what I'm saying. Clinical dose of acetyl L-Carnitine, or efficacious dose, is 1 to 2 grams. We've got 1.5 grams, so it is perfectly dosed. Moving on to the next active ingredient, we're talking about some L-Tyrosine in a 500 milligram dose in this BSN hypershred. L-Tyrosine is a nootropic amino acid. It's actually a precursor to L-Dopa, and L-Dopa is a precursor to the neurotransmitters dopamine, noradrenaline, and adrenaline. It's going to help improve cognition in the presence of stress, and also going to help improve your feeling of well-being, especially with that excess dopamine floating around. Your clinical dose of L-Tyrosine, 500 milligrams, right up to 2 grams. We have 500 milligrams, so it's towards the lower end of that clinical dosing range, but still sufficient. Moving right along, we then get into caffeine anhydrous, 250 milligrams of caffeine anhydrous, of course, a central nervous system stimulant, going to enhance physical energy, reduce perception of fatigue, and reduce actual fatigue, as a matter of fact. Going to boost psychological performance as well. Generally, what we're used to seeing with caffeine content in powdered form fat burners is 200 milligrams and above. Most fat burners will float around the 300 milligram range, some higher, some lower. We've got 250, so we're kind of a little bit below that, but definitely a good whack of caffeine in the anhydrous form in each and every scoop of this BSN hypershred. Moving right along, we then get into green tea extract, a non-standardized green tea extract, so it's not standardized for any particular active ingredients in a 200 milligram dose. We know that green tea extract yields a whole bunch of active ingredients, viewers at home. I'm gonna just make an assumption here and assume that it's in hypershred because it does yield Camellia sinensis in particular. And Camellia sinensis contains epicatechins, and epicatechins increase glucose uptake to muscle cells and also work as quite a mild bronchodilator, so decreasing resistance in your respiratory airways to increase airflow and help you burn more calories. Clinical dose, it doesn't really, we can't really discuss it because we don't know what the green tea extract is standardized for. We don't know if it's standardized for Camellia sinensis, and if so, epicatechins, and then what sort of dosage of epicatechins are we getting? So I'm not even going to go into clinical dose because there's really no point. Moving right along, we then get into quite an interesting extract, something that I've never seen used in any supplement before, to be honest with you guys. Longan extract, aka Euphoria fruit extract, in a 200 milligram dose. Once again, not standardized, although it is a trademarked version, and I'll talk about that in a second for you guys. Now, Longan fruit extract, or Euphoria fruit extract as it's more commonly known, contains a whole host of active ingredients. Once again, I'm going to have to go out on a limb here and make an assumption for why it's in hypershred, because I mean, Longan fruit's used for a whole bunch of stuff, guys. It contains a whole bunch of active ingredients, and this is the problem with it not being standardized, is we don't know which of those actives it's standardized for. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that one of the actives that it does yield is something called Longan lactone, which is structurally similar to the racetam class of nootropics. So we're talking about an active ingredient that acts as a nootropic, acts on neurotransmitters in your brain. That's going to help boost cognition. So once again, similar to L-Theanine in the nootropic way that it acts, is going to boost activity of neurotransmitters like dopamine and adrenaline and noradrenaline, and just help increase your feeling of well-being when you're otherwise feeling like shit because you're in caloric deficit trying to lose that body fat, man. In terms of the clinical dose, as I mentioned to you guys, we don't know what this is standardized for or what it's standardized at. I spent a bunch of time researching this extract for you guys because it is actually a trademarked extract that BSN are using in this hypershred, and it's trademarked. You can see it here on the label. It says the Euphoria fruit extract, TM, trademarked, is a trademark of Draco Natural Products. So I actually went to Draco Natural Products website, and I couldn't find a fucking thing about Euphoria fruit extract on their website. I was like, surely if this company has trademarked this extract, it's going to be trademarked for a certain standardization of a particular active ingredient. And they did not, it's not even listed on their website. So I don't know what the hell's going on there, but my search came up empty in terms of trying to figure out exactly what active ingredient this Euphoria fruit extract is standardized for and what the standardization is. And so I really don't have any information for you guys in that regard. In terms of the clinical dose, once again, we don't know what we're looking at here. So I'm not even going to go into clinical dose of longan lactone for you guys. We are, however, going to move right along to Capsi-Max, one of my favorite thermogenic fat-burning ingredients in a 150 milligram dose. Capsi-Max, for viewers at home who are unaware, is a concentrated, highly active capsicum extract that yields these things called capsaicinoids. And what capsaicinoids do, they're responsible when you eat a chili. When you eat a hot chili, you guys have all done it. You've eaten a hot chili, a Mexican food or some Italian, or you've had hot chili before, you know what I'm saying? The spice, the spiciness that you get, the heat from the chili is from these capsaicinoids. That's what is giving you the spiciness, the pepperiness, the feels like your mouth is on fire. That's the capsaicinoids. And so with Capsi-Max, they've effectively got the capsaicinoids extract, and we know that it is standardized for capsaicinoids because that's what Capsi-Max do. It's actually a 2% standardization. They've extracted these capsaicinoids out of the chili, out of the peppers, and put them in powdered form, and then they use them in fat loss supplements like BSN Hyperstrep. In terms of what the capsaicinoids do, apart from make your mouth feel like it's on fire, going to boost your metabolic rate, increases thermogenesis, and actually increases lipolysis as well. So the generation of heat and the use of fat as a fuel source. Very highly studied extract, and that's why it's one of my personal favorite extracts that we see in fat loss supplements. I'm actually going to pop a link in the description box to some more information on Capsi-Max. For those of you who are interested, man, go check it out. It is a really cool extract, and I'm very happy to see that BSN have used Capsi-Max in this Hyperstrep. In terms of the clinical dose or the efficacious dose, all the studies that are done on Capsi-Max that show all of these wonderful effects, is a 100 milligram dose at the 2% capsaicinoids standardized extract. We're dealing with the 2% capsaicinoids standardized extracts because we're dealing with the registered trademarked Capsi-Max, but we do have a 150 milligram dose, so it is in fact overdosed in this BSN Hyperstrep. Moving right along, we then get into another unique ingredient that I haven't seen used in a fat loss supplement before, and that is this ingredient called guayusa, or guayusa, however you want to pronounce it. It's kind of an interesting word to pronounce. In a 100 milligram dose. Once again, we're dealing with a herbal extract that is not standardized. So once again, I'm going to have to take a leap of faith here and say that you know, guayusa yields even more than the Euphoria fruit extract. So I've just listed down here the things that it yields. It yields caffeine, it yields theobromine, it yields L-Theanine, it yields antioxidants, it yields 15 essential amino acids. It has a whole bunch of shit that you can get from the guayusa leaf. And we don't know why it's in this Hyperstrep because it's not standardized to a particular active ingredient. So, I mean, I don't know really where to go with this guayusa, guys, apart from to tell you that it's very similar in structure and activity to a herbal ingredient that we do see used quite a lot in fat loss supplements, and that is yerba mate, and the fact that it yields all of those actives, but I don't know what it's standardized for, and I don't know which of those actives are properly dosed or underdosed or clinically dosed or whatever, and that's why we are going to move right along to L-Theanine, which is one of the things that the guayusa leaf extract yields, but we do have it in here in its free-form amino acid form. In a 100 milligram dose, the L-Theanine, this is also a nootropic amino acid similar to L-Tyrosine, the second ingredient that we went through in this BSN hypershred. L-Theanine is really cool. It crosses the blood-brain barrier while it helps transmit nerve impulses in your brain. It's going to help improve mental focus. And in particular, your ability to pay attention, so to concentrate on the task at hand. Also promotes relaxation without sedation, so without making you feel tired, it's going to help you feel relaxed. Reduces the perception of stress, and really the biggest thing that we notice with L-Theanine is it kind of takes the edge off stimulants. So whenever you're dealing with a big dose of stimulants, you've got a lot of caffeine, or you've got some hyginamine, or a big dose of theobromine, any sort of stimulant or stimulant combination, L-Theanine is usually included in those supplements to take the edge off the stimulant, so you don't get the jitters side effect. You don't feel anxious because it's too many stimulants in a short period of time. And that's really why BSN would have put it in this hypershred as well, to take the edge off that, not stupid dose of caffeine, but quite a significant dose of caffeine anhydrous, the 250 milligrams. In terms of the clinical dose of L-Theanine, it's 100 to 200 milligrams, so we're towards the lower end of that dosing range, but we would still say that it is, in fact, a clinical dose. Moving right along to the final ingredient in this BSN hypershred, it is of course the toothed club moss extract in a 10 milligram dose. Once again, not standardized, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I have never seen toothed club moss used where it hasn't been standardized to 1% huperzine A. So I'm going to assume that that's what BSN have done here, is they've used toothed club moss extract that is standardized for 1% huperzine A, and huperzine A is the active ingredient, and because we're dealing with 1%, we've got 100 micrograms of this huperzine A in each and every scoop of this BSN hypershred. Now, in terms of huperzine A, very, very cool ingredient. It is a nootropic. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It is an acetylcholine esterase inhibitor. And what that means is it prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine. Now, acetylcholine, for viewers who are unaware, is the neurotransmitter in our brain that is primarily responsible for our ability to concentrate and pay attention. So if you've got an acetylcholine esterase inhibitor stopping the breakdown of acetylcholine, you get an elevated amount of acetylcholine in your brain that's going to help you concentrate and focus on the task at hand more efficiently than you otherwise would if your acetylcholine esterase was doing what it's supposed to do and breaking down the acetylcholine. In terms of the clinical dose, we're dealing with 50 micrograms right up to 200 micrograms of huperzine A. We have what we're assuming is a 1% extract at 10 milligrams, so we've got 100 micrograms as I mentioned, so it is pretty damn perfectly dosed. Got yourself 60% artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, stabilizers, thickeners, and all the other goodies BSN use to make hypershred taste delicious. And that's what's in it. So quite a comprehensive formula we're dealing here from BSN viewers at home. It's taken me almost 20 minutes to get through all of those ingredients. But, you know, if you're going to break it down and you know, you're going to think of it as a complete fat loss supplement, it does tick a lot of the boxes that we generally look for in fat loss supplements and in fat loss supplementation when we consider the whole picture of fat loss supplementation. If you want to be real picky and you want to look at the things that it's missing, I mean, you know, you could say that there's nothing in there really to assist with lipolysis apart from the Capsimax, but you know, you could put some hydroxycitric acid, you could put some CLA in there, something to directly boost up the lipolysis or directly assist with lipolysis, but it does have the Capsimax, so it kind of does that already. Something to assist with your metabolic output, so you could put some forskolin in there, which would be quite a good addition. Some theobromine, although we do have the guayusa extract, which could be in there to yield theobromine, so BSN kind of do tick that box, but forskolin definitely would be something to increase metabolic output that you could put in this hypershred. And then finally, something to assist with stabilizing insulin levels, so some chlorogenic acid. Once again, chlorogenic acid is found both in the guayusa and also the Euphoria extract. So, I mean, BSN kind of have covered that base as well. That being said, I mean, if we knew that something was standardized for chlorogenic acid in a clinical dose, we could definitely tick that box. So, I mean, really, BSN have kind of, man, one way or another, covered pretty much every base that we look for in fat loss supplementation, albeit, you know, not using standardized extracts. But if we make the assumption that they're yielding these particular ingredients, I mean, they've BSN gone balls deep in this hypershred, man. That's all I can say. In terms of how it tastes, how it mixes, comes in 3 flavors. Comes in blueberry lemonade, comes in citrus pineapple, comes in strawberry orange. The 3 flavors, the 2 sizes, obviously, as I showed you guys at the start, you got your 30 serve tub and your 60 serve tub. All 3 flavors are available in both serve tubs. Now, I do have my personal tub right here of the Hypershred in the strawberry orange flavor. Infamous MassiveJoes taste and mixability test about to go down. Got my double wall glass with 150 mils of water, which is smack bang what BSN have suggested. They've said mix 1 scoop with 120 to 180 mils. So I've gone 150 mils. Gonna open this this personal tub of mine of this BSN Hypershred. Don't need to bro punch this bitch in because obviously it's already been bro punched. I've been using this shit. Gonna take 1 scoop of this BSN Hypershred. Throw this bitch in this bitch. And let it rain, let it rain. A few flicks of the wrist with a spoon. It's a big 7.5 grams, to be honest with you guys. It's not a very dense powder. Like that's a big whack for 7.5 grams. That's a lot of powder with not a whole lot of water. But I'm gonna give you guys a few flicks of the wrist. I'm going to show you how this BSN Hypershred mixes. I'm going to refresh my memory on how the strawberry orange flavor tastes, man. All right, I think that's probably enough. So as you guys can see, as a big chunk floats around in the Hypershred, I mean, it does. I've done a pretty shit job of mixing it up. Hold on, let me give a few flicks. I need to do this Hypershred a little bit of justice. All right, that's better. So you do have to put a little bit of elbow grease into it, but it does mix pretty well. That being said, you know, when I've been using it, I've used pretty much twice the amount of water. So I've gone in 300 mils of water and it mixes perfectly. Obviously, if you're gonna use a blender board, Team MassiveJoes Elite Shaker with a blender board, you're gonna have no problems at all. That being said, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. When I've been using it personally, I haven't gone to a shaker. I've just used more water in a glass. I've gone like twice the amount, 300 mils, and then you don't get those chunks and those floaters and that sort of thing in there. It just mixes quite nicely. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here, guys, and I'm gonna say blender ball is not required for this here BSN, a Hypershred. Let me refresh my memory on how this strawberry orange tastes, man. The thing with BSN and their flavors generally is they have a reputation for nailing flavors. They really do. Whether it's their protein, their pre-workouts, their aminos, Amino X, fantastic flavors. They nail flavors across the board. The one thing with this Hypershred is they've nailed the flavors, don't get me wrong. The blueberry lemonade tastes like blueberry lemonade. The citrus pineapple tastes like pretty much lemon and pineapple, or lemon, lime and pineapple. And the strawberry orange tastes like strawberry and orange. They've nailed all 3 flavors. The thing is, they're fucking weird flavors. Which is both a good thing and a bad thing. it's a good thing because if you're sick of your standard, strawberry flavor, orange flavor, blueberry flavor, pineapple flavor, lemon lime flavor, and you want to try something new, I mean, these are definitely new and unique flavors. I've never seen a strawberry orange anything before, let alone a citrus pineapple. Blueberry lemonade is kind of the safe one that we have seen blueberry lemonade done a bunch of times. But like this, it's kind of, I don't really know where to go with it. It's good because they're unique, and if you're sick of the standard flavors, you're probably going to love these flavors because there's something different, something unique. For me personally, like I love strawberry, I hate orange. I love pineapple, I hate citrus. So for me, I'm kind of like, I love blueberries, I hate lemonade. So I'm like 50% happy with the flavors from BSN. I don't know if the flavor formulators at BSN have been watching raw reviews too long, and they know that I'm a big fan of fruit-based flavors and I hate citrus-based flavors, and they've just gone, F it. We're going to put citrus in every single flavor and mix it with a non-citrus fruit and see what Massive Joe comes through with the raw review. I mean, my personal preference aside, the flavors are very, very good. They have nailed them. They are definitely true to flavor across all three flavors. A couple of things that I will say is that you are going to get some spice. Definitely. It doesn't feel like your mouth is burning, but there is definitely some spice in there, and that's because of the overdose amount of Capsimax. So just be prepared for that. It is worth it, guys. Capsimax, as I mentioned, is a fantastic ingredient, amazing for thermogenesis. You can't beat it. And I mean, to have a little bit of spice while you're drinking your fat burner, if you're taking your fat burner in the morning as well, it kind of wakes you up a bit as well. Get a little bit of your spice going through your mouth as well. So it is worth it, but it is something that you do need to be aware of is the spiciness. But the flavors are all good, man. Like they're easy to drink, true to flavor, and unique is something else that I do have to say. The one thing that I will say, something that I have noticed, is if you're like me and you like taking your fat burner, usually, when I'm taking it first thing in the morning, I don't kind of mix it and scull it. I mix it and I sip on it. I kind of, drink it like a morning coffee almost. So I enjoy my fat burner. That's what's up first thing in the morning. The one thing that I have noticed, here's a glass that I prepared earlier, is that it does settle out. So the hypershred does form. It almost forms like can you guys see that? Can you see how that's moving? It's almost like a bit of a syrup. I'll see if I can get some up. There you go. Yeah, I can. All right, so check that out. See how that kind of moves towards the bottom? There you go. So it does form a little bit like it's kind of gluggy, like a gluggy syrup. That's something that you do need to be aware of if you're kind of sipping on it, is it will separate and form that syrup. So keep your spoon close by, because a couple of flicks of the wrist, just like that, and it dissolves perfectly once again. But it is something that you do need to keep in mind, is just that forming of the separation of the active ingredients and the forming of the syrup down the bottom of the hypershred. And actually, you guys can see that there, going back to the mixability. That's mixed perfectly in a glass. So a little bit more water, a little bit of elbow grease, and it mixed perfectly, and blendable is not required. In terms of the effects, because that's ultimately what you're taking this hypershred for, viewers at home. You're trying to get shredded. You're trying to lose that body fat. You're trying to lose that weight. You're trying to get yourself in some kind of shape. And as always, the first and most important thing is being in caloric deficit. I can't even talk about the effects of this hypershred if you guys aren't in caloric deficit. You have to be consuming less calories than your body requires each and every day for a sustained period of time, or else you will not lose weight. You will not lose body fat. It just ain't gonna happen. Unfortunately, no one has invented the supplement where you can eat whatever the fuck you want in whatever amounts you want and lose body fat just by taking this magic pill or powder. It doesn't exist. So, caloric deficit down packed, now we can talk about the effects. Couple of unique things with this BSN hypershred. Phenomenal thermogenesis. Phenomenal thermogenesis, generation of heat, and that's because of that massive dose of Capsi Max. I actually, just off the top of my head, I don't think we've seen a fat loss supplement use that amount of Capsi Max in a single serve before, 150 milligrams. It's 50% more than what the company that makes Capsi Max recommends you use. It's just, it's crazy. And you definitely feel that effect, just amazing thermogenesis. The heat that comes off your body is crazy. The amount you sweat is disgusting, for lack of a better term, but it is. Like you generate a lot of heat and you sweat a lot, and the thermogenic effect you get from hypershred is like nothing else that I have experienced in a fat loss supplement. Any fat loss supplement, pill or powder, Australia, US, wherever it is, the hypershred just takes the cake in terms of thermogenesis, which is a good sign because that's a big part of the fat loss process provided you're in caloric deficit. Very clean energy. You can definitely feel the theanine going to work there. You don't get, the harsh up and down roller coaster type effect. Very clean energy. You definitely don't experience any crash or anything like that, which is great for those of you who who are going to take your hypershred first thing in the morning. You don't want to, after your morning cardio, feel like shit for the rest of the day. So no crash or anything like that. And very good feeling of well-being is something that I really got from the hypershred. So there's definitely something to be said about the tyrosine, the Euphoria fruit extract, and what that extract is in there yielding. You can definitely feel, your dopamine is up. It's doing its thing, and definitely there's some interaction between acetylcholine there as well from the herbazine A. But you can definitely feel, you just feel good. Like it's a really noticeable effect in uplifting effect of well-being and just feeling nice, elevated mood, whatever you want to call it. Really, really good. Those are probably the most unique aspects of this BSN hypershred. In terms of actual fat loss results, as I mentioned to you guys, provided you're in caloric deficit, this hypershred really has all the tools that we look for in fat loss supplementation. It's got something in there for fat metabolism, it's got something in there for boosting energy, it's got something in there for lipolysis, something in there for thermogenesis, it's got something, it ticks all the boxes as we went through when we went through the nutritional panel, and then things that it possibly could be missing. It ticks all the boxes. So provided you're in caloric deficit and you're taking this hypershred, once, twice a day, you're definitely going to increase your rate of fat loss. You're going to get to your fat loss goal quicker than you otherwise would without taking the hypershred. In terms of the side effects, a couple of things that I do have to mention. If you're sensitive to caffeine, keep in mind that there is a reasonable dose of caffeine in here, 250 milligrams of anhydrous, and then whatever else is contributing from the guayusa, the green tea leaf extract also yields caffeine, so there could be a little bit in addition to the 250 caffeine anhydrous. So if you are sensitive to caffeine, you might want to start at less, so maybe a quarter, not a quarter, let's go a half, maybe a half or a 3/4 scoop and kind of build up from there. If you don't like sweating, if you don't like increased heat production from your body, increased thermogenesis, this is not the supplement for you. As I mentioned, the most pronounced thermogenic effect I've ever experienced on a fat loss supplement. I'm getting high. I drank like, how much of that did I drink? That wasn't mine, this one here. How much of this did I drink? No, that was mine. I'm losing my damn mind. Half a cup of that, and I'm sweating here, and the air conditioner's on full blast, and I'm getting the thermogenic effect. It's ridiculous. And that's in like 10 minutes. So if you guys don't like sweating, hypershred is probably not the fat burner for you. If you do like sweating and you love the thermogenic effect, like most of us, myself included, it's a fantastic fat loss supplement. In terms of stackability, can be stacked with any non-stimulant. Highlight non-stimulant fat loss supplements. So CLA or HCA for Forskolin is obviously going to be a good addition, as we discussed. Chlorogenic acid, a good addition. Just don't go stacking it with another stimulant-based fat burner, but non-stimulant fat loss ingredients. If you want to bump up the acetyl-carnitine, go stack it with some creation supplements. Alcapure, you can stack it with non-stimulant fat loss ingredients if you so wish. The final thing That I will say is in terms of price and value for money. In the Australian market, your 30 serve tub retails at $49.95. Your 60 serve tub retails at $84.95. The good value, this is the real good value. So your price per serve, $1.42 to $1.67 per scoop, which puts it really smack bang in the middle of where it needs to be in the Australian market for really, really good value for money when it comes to a fat loss supplement. But guys, if you're in the market for an all new, cover all bases, unique tasting fat loss supplement that is just gonna have you sweating bullets with clean energy to match, and definitely going to help you reach your fat loss goal faster than man, probably most fat loss supplements on the market, just based on the active ingredients and how well they are all dosed. You really have to go out and get yourself some of this BSN Hyper Shred, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn your post notifications on, both on your mobile, your cell phone, and your desktop PC so you don't miss a beat when it comes to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel. And guys, that is MassiveJoes Balls Deep. That was a long one. Raw review on the all long but justified, I think. Because we got a lot of good shit done in this raw review, viewers at home, on the all new BSN Hyper Shred in the house. And I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Stay massive.